Hi, everybody. I'm Aaron. I'm the CEO and founder of BLine, and we're a mobility survey platform and now a contact tracing platform as of 6 weeks ago that helps building owners to better understand how people move to and from their building, the health of their occupants. We help achieve green building certifications and optimize building operations to improve your bottom line. So I'll give you guys a little overview of how we came to be. My background's in urban planning, and I was helping the University of Toronto address traffic congestion. Traffic congestion in North America costs the US and North American economy around $310 billion. This is in terms of late employees, missed appointments. This doesn't even account for less time spent with family members or environmental costs. So Toronto has been growing exponentially over the last few years, around 33% a year, like many major North American cities. People are getting priced out of the city and moving further and further out, and transit systems can't actually keep up. So traffic congestion has actually increased around 17% in the last 12 years. So people in Toronto are actually commuting 42% more than people in Los Angeles on an annual basis. So before I began working as an urban planner, I used to think that we only used the most sophisticated means of data collection in order to kind of design our cities, but it's actually very primitive. They look at the sale of transit passes, they count cars at problem intersections, and then every 10 years in the US, every census year, they'll call people with landlines and they'll ask them how they think they moved over the last 10 years. So the problem with this is that people don't really remember how they've moved over the last 10 years, and 88% of millennials don't actually have landlines. So the data we have is pretty bad. So the idea for this came out of a research project I was working on at the University of Toronto, and we were helping the waterfront Toronto with designing the Pan Am Village. And they wanted to compare how people said they moved via these landline surveys versus how people actually moved when they used a smartphone survey. So as you can see, these numbers are very different, except for cyclists who somehow got it right on the money. So if you have a tough question, always ask a cyclist. But the thing is, we design based on what people tell us, even though what people tell us is incorrect. And so this is dangerous for a variety of reasons. The Union Pearson Express train in Toronto, which goes from the airport to downtown, is a very good example of this. This cost $456 million to build, cost $68 million to operate, and it runs empty about 90% of the time, generating about $24 million in revenue every year. So this is why we created BLine. We generate better, cheaper data in real time. We don't ask people how they move. We look at how people actually move. So we're revolutionizing mobility service. So it's really hard to get everybody in a city to download an app. And so we very much focused on commercial real estate, particularly green buildings. We have a very close relationship with the U.S. Green Building Council, as commuting requirements are actually baked into their system. So they require people to do a survey every year or 2 years, where they survey at least 25% of people within the building on how they get to and from work. So before they met us, this is the survey that they were using, where they would give out a survey. They would ask people how they got there, how they got back every day for a week. And then consultants would have to kind of compile a report on this and submit it to the US Green Building Council. So the thing is, people don't really open emails because it's just simply noise. And so what often would happen is they would do a lobby blitz. They would hire special event staff where they gave out coffee and donuts, and then you might win a prize, potentially a bicycle. So when I worked as a sustainability consultant in New York, we would have to do these all the time. And they were tedious. They were painful. And so what happens is, we'd have to kind of get a lot of special event staff, give out a ton of donuts, and then do a whole lot of report writing. And if we could do this simply with BLine, with one-time onboarding, it becomes a whole lot simple, and you save a hell of a lot of money on donuts. So there are also a variety of advantages to using smartphones. So we're not just getting one mode, we're getting all the modes. We're not getting 1 point, we're getting all the points. Time savings is instant reporting. And then with predictive analytics. So if you're a building or a campus, we can look at how people are moving and how people's transportation choices change in different seasons, in pandemics, and also during reintegration. And say if you're growing by 10% a year, we can actually help you, look at, okay, based on historical data, how have people moved? How is it changing? This is, how we can solve problems before they become problems. And so obviously we're helping with traffic flow optimization, site design. We do this all with artificial intelligence. So as you guys know, the cost of structured parking is very expensive in North America. On average, it's around $100,000 per space. New York, San Francisco, about 250,000. So if we help our clients get rid of 10 parking spaces, we save them about $1 million plus whatever they build on top of it, which makes them millions of dollars. We can also help with transit-oriented development, as you're seeing, where people, building bike lanes where people need bike lanes, putting electric charging stations where people need electric charging stations, et cetera, et cetera. And obviously, repurposing land to a higher emitter use helps overall with housing affordability within the cities in which we work. So I'll give you guys just a kind of a view of how an administrator would do this. We don't have time to go into kind of the app itself, but you just create a campaign. This can be a week, a month, a year. We have different subscriptions. You create a campaign name, you create an access code. And then when people get on the platform, it starts pushing data into the dashboard. So you can look how many people are carpooling, car share rates, location analytics, how many people work from home. This will be particularly important post-COVID. And then also with your green building score. So we help you get a higher score, which is based off of basic transportation demand management principles. And then participation rates within the building. And we do heat maps, so we can break it down based on modes. So you can look at how many people are, where people are taking transit, where people are driving, where people are walking, et cetera, et cetera. All of this is anonymized data, and we are GDPR and HIPAA compliant. And so if you want to talk about privacy, we can do that at a later time. So we've just recently integrated with ARC. There are some press releases that will be coming out in the coming weeks. And so we can actually, our data is reflected in their real-time dashboard along energy, water, and waste. And we have a variety of different distribution partners within the US and Canada. And I'll show you just a couple of the case studies that we've done so far. But we've worked with co-working spaces that are been going for their green building certification. They would simply put up a poster, they had a barbecue at the end of the week, et cetera, et cetera. And we got 100% adoption rates. We've also worked with the State University of New York in terms of helping them with their certification, comparing how people said they moved versus how people actually moved, very different. And then we've done pro bono work with cities for bike weeks to help, have competitions and collect data to do active transportation design. So we are now a COVID company, as I mentioned. Our clients have actually said to us that people are very afraid to go back to work. And so because of our technology, a lot of it was very in line with what contact tracing was doing already. So we've actually expanded our dashboard and our mobile platform to allow people to identify if they have contracted COVID. And this would be sent out to all the users within that building with, trip times purposes, modes, et cetera, so they can see if they do a risk assessment and self-isolate. This also allows the building occupant to see this data, confirm it with an employer who, obviously, if you were contracted COVID, you would tell your boss, and then send an alert to everybody else so that they can know if they came in contact. So this is legs. We actually are starting clients with the Halifax Innovation District in the next 2 weeks, as well as Georgetown University, and the U.S. Green Building Council has put us on their list of COVID response solutions, and they're distributing it to their network in 88 countries.